Welcome to First Gardener, New Garden. I'm Joey Baird. Let's talk about composting. Composting seems to be on the internet and around the world a complex, complicated method of creating soil, and it really is not. It's a very simple method, and I'm going to show you how we compost, and it can be you can do it very easily, or you can get more scientific towards it. Now, this is a 6-panel enhanced aeration composting bin from rootmaker.com. You can use the coupon code bottom of the screen if you want to purchase anything from their site. This will come together and we will compost in it. You can see that there's holes, and holes will allow oxygen and air into the pile, and that is the key to get the aerobic activity going inside the pile. That's part of the breakdown process. This was our old compost pile, 2 pallets, and then we had pallets on each side. It's begun to break down, it begins to lean. It was just more of what is called a cold composting method. And that simply means throwing stuff on the pile and just letting it sit. No mixing, nothing. And over the course of 18 months to 2 years, it breaks down into a compostable form. The disadvantage to a cold composting procedure is, though this is soil, there's seeds in the soil that are active because the core temperature, or the temperature of the soil, or the composting method, has not exceeded 130 to 160 degrees for 3 consecutive days to kill off the viability of those weed seeds. So keep that in mind. Hot composting is a method in which we'll talk about the mixture of ratios of browns to greens in order to heat the pile up to kill those weed seeds and accelerate the breakdown process. Now, there are videos online of drunken compost where you mix grass clippings and alcohol beverages together and you get it to break down in a very rapid pace. That's not what we're doing. We're going to allow nature to assist us. It's going to take 6 to 8 months, somewhere in that range, but we will be able to get black compost in our bin. So first thing we need to do is we need to put this bin together. Now, there's 2 sides to this bin. There's a smooth side, and then there is a side that's expanded out. This would be the side you want in towards the pile. If you inverted this and did it this way, you could do it. However, the disadvantage is the soil can get compacted up in here and actually will slow down the air getting inside of it. So put it this way, it's more difficult for the soil to get wedged up in each one of these holes. Now, we can put this together in a couple of different ways. These will interlock, but still you're going to have a fastener. We're going to use zip ties. You can use a string of any type of method, and then you can open it up at the composting stage that you want, and then otherwise with the zip tie you're going to have to break the zip ties and then replace them. So I'll put this together and then we'll talk about starting to add material into. All right, I've put it together with zip ties. It's a circle now. This stands 34 inches high. Now, also, whenever you determine that you're going to compost, we're composting on a somewhat bigger scale. You can do a trench compost, you can do other methods, but you want to figure out where you're going to put this, because this is going to be somewhere for a number of months, if not years. And also, if you're in an urban situation or city dwelling, you want to find out, is it legal based on your municipality, whether you can have an open compost bin, or you may have to have an enclosed bin of a tumbler of some sort. So what do we put in here? Anything that came from nature is a general answer. Shredded paper, cardboard, grass clippings, yard debris, kitchen scraps. If you're in a country setting, bones, meat, dairy, whatever, if it's a back 40, you can throw everything in there. In an urban setting, you want to avoid grease, meats, bones, dairy, because that will attract animals and rodents to your pile, and you don't want that. So we can start out with browns and greens. That's the 2 materials. Green materials is kitchen scraps, eggshells, garlic stumps, banana peels, all of that. So we want to layer this browns, greens, and that will enhance or help the breakdown process of doing this. So we're just going to put this in the bottom here. This also includes coffee grounds. That's a good nitrogen source. Then you can also do shredded paper, a layer of that. And a layer can be 6 inches or a foot, however you want to do it. The bag can go in there too. Let's take some grass clippings or some garden debris. These are some weeds we dug up. That can go on there. Now, if you're going to use grass clippings, great source of nitrogen. However, you do not want to incorporate grass clippings that have been, or the grass clippings from a lawn that has been sprayed with a weed and feed, because that will stay persistent even through the composting method, and it will kill your broadleaf plants years after, even in the compostable form. Now, also, we've got some stuff in there. I'm going to take some of this from our current compost pile that we will use, and this is kind of called activating your pile. And I'm just going to cover the current layer of material, and then as we get more, we'll continue to build up. With any compost pile, you want to keep the contents of it damp like a sponge. You don't want to be sopping wet, and you don't want to dry it out. So if you're in an area where it gets a lot of moisture, you can put a board on top of it or some type of roof to repel a lot of the moisture. If you're in a dry area, you can leave it open and then allow the rain to penetrate into the pile, or you can do it however works best for you, but you want to keep it damp. You do not want to keep it soggy and or dry it out, otherwise the composting process just doesn't work as efficiently. Now, in order to get this hot, the outside portion being black will absorb the heat, as well as that green material on the bottom will start activating. If you want heat in your pile, add green material. Grass clippings, coffee grounds, kitchen scraps, and the browns, you want to, you can do a ratio of this, a general rule of thumb, 50% brown, 50% green, really simple. Now, in order to get that heat, you want to do this about every 3rd day. Get in here and mix it up with a garden fork. They make compost augers where it will help aerate, and then as we continue to add material, it will begin to break down and it will work very well. So that's a basic understanding of what composting is. It's not as complicated as people make it out to be. Simply add greens and browns to a bin, mix it, keep it hot, and then it will start turning into compost, the black material that you're used to buying in the bags at the garden center. Thanks for watching. I'm Joy Baird. This has been First Garden, New Gardener. As always, rate, subscribe, and comment.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.